Hey y'all, producer Drew here. Today's episode is all about arts and drafts. To kick things off, I've invited Phil Blair, longtime arts and drafts partner and owner of Wico Bottle and Beer Garden, to talk to us a little bit about his favorite arts and drafts memories and what he'll be bringing to the next one.
I'm fairly certain the first arts and drafts, I think we didn't even have a stage. There was just a couple of bands playing on the floor. And we're like, I don't know, are people going to think this is fun? And then the door opened and there was hundreds of people there. We didn't think it was going to be quite that big. So there wasn't a ton to do the very first one except stand around and have a Red Hook beer and watch like the three bands we had. But people still enjoyed it. When the night gets going and I'm looking across the crowd, like I see a lot of the usual suspects, but then you see hundreds of people that you have no idea where they came from, and you're just like, wow, that's cool. Musically, one that stands out is the one we had, the Lumineers. Like, they opened the show. They didn't even headline the show. They opened the show. And just looking back at that lineup, it was the Lumineers and Shovels and Rope. It was cool to see that lineup. And that was another one that had a huge turnout. That might have been like the record-selling beer one. We had the Wigs, like 10th anniversary was an arts and drafts party, and it was the 21st arts and drafts and the Wigs 10th anniversary, and we did Red Hook again. We flew up to Red Hook in New Hampshire and made a beer. Even though it's only 3 or 4 different beers, we want it to be diverse styles, sessionable stuff. We don't want to bring any like giant heavy beers. And that, you know, and there's been certain breweries that have stepped up and gotten more involved than others. Highland Brewing, which we've had on tap. When the Wig was around, it was on tap pretty much the entire life of that place. They invited us to come collaborate on kind of a small batch beer, and we're going to go up there this coming Monday. We'll drive up, meet everybody, have fun with it, put a name on it, and then hopefully it turns out all right. We've only brewed a few beers over the course of the last 10 or so years with different breweries. They've all turned out good so far, so we'll keep our track record going. The style was a style that us and everybody at the shop loves. It's a Czech dark lager. So it's like, it is a little bit dark, but it's like, you know, smooth. It's not heavy. It's not a stout. Should be great for hopefully November weather.
You're listening to Binder. I'm Ray McManus. Well, I am here with Wilson Bame.
What's up?
How you doing, Wilson?
I'm good.
For those of you who don't know Wilson is the striking, debonair individual you see walking around the Columbia Museum of Art, always busy, always moving fast, is in charge of a lot of things, but your main title is Manager of Engagement, which sounds pretty cool.
Sure.
Very wide
very
open.
Serious. Yeah. Best way I can describe it is I oversee all of our public programming. So that includes everything from opening lectures to panel discussions to concert series to things like arts and drafts.
So basically, any of the programming really that, you know, engaging the community, engaging the museum, bringing all that together, you've got a hand in it, you oversee it, you kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
And of course, one of those big programs that I think most of our listeners would be very familiar with is Arts and Drafts.
Yeah.
How long have we been doing Arts and Drafts here at the museum?
We've been doing it for over 10 years.
Wow.
So I think in 2020, 2021, we should have had our 10-year anniversary. But, you know, with COVID, we just kind of skipped that whole party.
As we all did.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been over 10 years now.
Wow. And so, you know, one of the things that has always impressed me is that there's a lot going on, you know, the plaza or the lobby in various parts around the gallery. There's food, there's music, the tours that gonna, you know, have going around. That's a lot of stuff to put together. How do you do that?
With Arts and Drafts, I mean, we tend to start with the art. That's kind of the whole point of bringing you here, is to engage with the art in kind of a new way. So usually I start with the exhibition. We try to pull out any themes that we would find interesting, that might inspire us to kind of think about who the best musical acts might be for that particular Arts and Drafts. And then we go from there and we start thinking about community connections, people that might either bring some sort of element of creativity to the program. So, I mean, the best way to do it is kind of give an example. So like this recent one, we reached out to the World Affairs Council. You know, we have a show that just closed and it included several countries from kind of Middle Asia, from like Spain to India, basically. And so we're like, well, you know, World Affairs was kind of perfect. So I called up Dixon.
Hello.
But then we had an all-women exhibition, so I reached out to FemX.
Hello.
So that's kind of another aspect of it, to kind of give it a lot of kind of vibrance and activity. And then we come up with art activities that are relevant to the gallery spaces. You know, there's always a musical component, but we like to try to bring in some sort of other performance aspect if possible.
Sure.
So whether it's a puppet show or it's comedy.
So it's cool. It's cool to be back here at the museum doing comedy. We haven't gotten to do this in a while. We get a purple wristband, so I get to drink more than you, I guess. So that's fun. And I'm on a watermelon sour high.
Or it's, you know, recording Binder podcast, some other element for people to have this multi-layered experience.
Yeah, I mean, and I think listening to you describe, you know, just sort of what goes into the thought process for putting it together, trying to make it as diverse as possible, but still fitting within a particular exhibit or, you know, something going on here at the museum makes a lot of sense when you see how rich and diverse the audience is. You know, I mean, that's always been sort of mind blowing to me that, you know, you come to that and you've got an audience of young, old, coming from all walks of life. Some are highly invested in their time and their, you know, and their knowledge of art. Some, it's the first time they've ever come to the Columbia Museum of Art.
Right.
You know, their friends just drug them out here. And, but it doesn't feel like, you know, you're walking into a place and everybody's got on black tie and, you know, eating fancy cheeses. It's, there's, dare I say, there's an element of fun to all of this.
Well, that's what we want. Yeah.
Right.
Whatever ways we can think of to kind of give them this new access point to the art in the galleries is always a challenge and always a really fun part to think up, because, you know, not everything's going to stand out to everyone.
Sure.
So if I can book an artist that they're really into, or if they find out that this comedian's performing, or they get dragged here and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even know I liked glass sculptures, like, you know, whatever. I think of a friend who came to an Arts and Draughts. She's like, I'm not really into art. And I said, well, that's ridiculous. You like TV and you like, you know,
right.
You know, whatever you like. And so I was like, we're going to find you something. So I walked her through the galleries and she loves a chandelier. Shout out to Claire in Florida. She loves that chandelier that's up in the collection galleries. And that's just one example of how Arts and Draughts can just be an access point for people who may not think of museums as a place they want to go to and hang out. But, you know, you get them at an event like that and they realize that this is a place for me.
Right. Right. Do you ever worry about people having too much fun?
I'll let our facilities team worry about that. We had on the last Arts and Draughts, we had the lead singer of the closing band jump in the fountain. And they weren't too thrilled about it, but it was exciting and people loved it. You know, he jumped in like 3 times, and then we had the band Flippants here a couple of times back, and he brought a birthday cake with him. I'm not sure if it was anyone's birthday or not. And he set it on a table and jumped off a ladder onto the cake. And that was unsanctioned activity, but it was exciting and it was memorable, you know, and like people absolutely remember that. But that same night we had Pylon Reenactment Society. They're from Athens. They were around the time of REM, like early REM. B-52s, and they were in the same touring circus as those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they were here performing, and that was amazing. And there were a lot of fans here.
Yeah.
And, you know, folks that like probably wouldn't have come otherwise.
Right.
We're here to see Pylon, and that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody who knows anything about post-punk at all, if you don't know who Pylon is, then you don't know post-punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to that, I mean, so when you're thinking of bands and you're thinking of, is that an intentional thing? Do you look for local? Do you look for regional?
Yeah, we I always think locally first, and I look locally, regionally, and with Jive Talk, who jumped in the fountain, they're out of Nashville. So I stretched out a little bit farther. They were someone that I saw, and I just immediately thought these guys would be awesome at Arts and Drafts, and so I reached out to their team, and we got lucky and ended up booking them. So I try to start with that kind of like quote unquote headliner act. And then I try to pick something that's going to match that energy.
Do you get feedback from them when afterwards? Do they really like the experience here at CMA? Do they like Columbia? I mean, I have,
I haven't got any negative feedback from the artists, which is good.
We got great fountains.
Yeah, we got great fountains. I get good feedbacks from folks that are out of town, but also from the people that are in town that are performing. It's a good audience,
Yeah,
really engaged audience, and if they bring it, like people really react to it, and it's exciting for those artists. So that I get a lot of great feedback from them.
So not only is there music, but obviously there's food, there's drink. How does that come about? Because I would imagine you've got to organize all of that part too.
Yeah. So luckily we have a good partner in Phil Blair. It was the Wig for a long time, and now it's WeCo that are kind of our partners in this. So they handle all the drink aspects, which is a huge weight from us because that takes a lot of work. So they organize all of that. They pick something special for each Arts and Drafts, and then we handle booking the food trucks. So I wish that Smokey Loggins still did those wings at events, man, because we'd have them every time. But anything from a pop-up kind of tent situation or a food truck that you might see at Soda City Market. And I try to think about like what's relevant to the exhibitions, again, even in the food. We try to have a diverse set of business owners too. So, not kind of have like one brushstroke of food vendors. We want to pick certain ones throughout the community that represent the people that are going to be at the event. So, always having a vegan option or something too. Like we want to make sure that everyone has something to eat, everyone has something to drink, even if it's not alcohol, and really think through those details. And it's funny, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like we do a lot of fun stuff here, and those little details mean a lot when it's executed properly.
That's right.
And most people don't think about the small details, but when you hit the mark, it makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, if I don't take my job seriously, then, I shouldn't expect anyone else to take it seriously either, So
exactly.
So I take all of that stuff like really seriously, and I want it to be done right, and I want it to be a good experience for everybody that walks through the door.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I think you can clearly see when you look at the audience, whether they are 6 years old or 60 years old.
We had a lot of kids at this last one.
Yeah, I mean it's I can see a lot of kids out there, so they're all happy. And you're right. I think it's paying attention to those small details, knowing that if you can provide as much as you can for as many people as you can, and there's so many different tastes and so many different things that people are, want or require. And so trying to provide all of that, as tiresome as that could be, and it's probably sometimes maddening, because I'm sure you've probably had in the planning, a particular food truck couldn't make it, or, right at last minute, or, a band couldn't. So the fact that you do all of that, Wilson, is fantastic, man. And I think you can see it on all these smiling faces here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to picking their brains. I want to know what they think. In just a bit, we're going to be bringing folks in, the audience. I don't know what state of mind they'll be in, bringing them in and asking them about their experience. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice.
But before we take off into that, when is the next Arts and Drafts?
The next Arts and Drafts is on November 10th, 2023.
My birthday.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah, my birthday.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll put you on the guest list.
Please do.
All right. Yeah, November 10th. It's a Friday night like usual. And it'll be during the Alexander McQueen and Henri fashion and photography exhibition that's going to be here in the fall. So, we're kind of floating ideas right now. We're thinking of maybe some pop-up fashion shows. We're thinking of kind of ideas around, maybe we don't have the three bands like we usually do. Maybe we mix it up a little bit and end the night in a different way. I'll let that that's still cooking. So I won't say anything about that. But just thinking of a unique way to celebrate this fashion exhibition while still bringing the same energy that we always do.
But that, I think, goes back to earlier part in this conversation. I mean, we're talking 4 months out, and and you're planning this stuff now. I mean, because it takes time. It takes time to line all that up. Yeah. But it does, I think, explain why the culminating event is so good, because of all that planning and all of that work. And I'm sure a lot of times it's probably a little thankless.
Thank you.
Probably the I would imagine at least up to the moment when things start to happen, it's a little nerve wracking walking around, making sure everything is, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and nobody's pre-gaming too much. But Arts and Draughts it's a lot of fun, but it is truly, I think, such an important aspect to the mission of the Columbia Museum of Art. Thank you, man, for all that you do to put that thing together.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun. I get a lot of satisfaction out of an Arts and Draughts. I love seeing people having a good time. And, I'm not the only one working on Arts and Draughts. We have a whole staff of museum people out here, making it run. We've got everyone from check-in to security to gallery attendants to everyone on the education engagement staff is all on board. Interns, volunteers, curatorials helping us with lighting. I mean, everything is happening. Everyone's working.
So it is an all hands on deck.
It's all hands on deck. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not a sole effort by one person or one department. It's everybody's on board.
Yeah. They even put me to work.
Oh, and even our yeah, right. Our development team, they're working on sponsorships, getting us the funding to where we can put these things on. And Jessica's out there making banners for us and getting all our signs ready. And I mean, it's literally everyone is involved in Arts and Draughts.
Wilson Bame is the manager of engagement here at the Columbia Museum of Art. He collaborates with partners inside and outside of the museum to help create many of the CMA's programs and concerts, including talks and panels, More Than Rhythm and Chamber Music on Main, Family Fun Night, and of course, Arts and Draughts. Coming up after the break, we hear from you.
We are going to do a lot of things here at this Columbia Museum of Art. I know there's going to be an exhibit for Alexander McQueen, whose shoes I'm having on right now in October. So we don't come because we love the art and the fashion.
More after this.
Hey y'all, producer Drew here. Welcome back. The segment you're about to hear is a montage of over 2.5 hours of recording we did during Arts and Draughts in March 2023. We've never done anything like this before for the podcast and had no idea how it would go. But wow, y'all really delivered. Let's check it out.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. Which is pretty much, to our listening audience, that's pretty much how we do all of our podcasts. We just hit record and see what happens.
Yeah, we really don't know what we're doing.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Drew does know what he's doing because that's why these episodes are under 40 minutes.
But
no, I think what's really cool about what I've always thought was really cool about Arts and Draughts is if there is a single sort of event that encapsulates the mission of what the Columbia Museum of Art is trying to do, and I mean, it's kind of Arts and Draughts, right? I mean,
no, totally. I mean, before I started here, Arts and Draughts was definitely one of the things that brought me into the museum, right? As a young punk kid, because it feels like such an antithesis to the staid kind of quiet and relaxed space that you usually kind of picture in your head when you think of a museum. And this is the polar opposite. It's just a big party with a DJ and bands outside and lots of beer.
So I mean, because there's some booths and stuff in the lobby. What's up with that?
Yeah, so every Arts and Draughts we invite a bunch of partners from throughout the community to kind of come in and bring either, whether it be some art projects or just some kind of educational interactive thing. And they're selling t-shirts that are special to this Arts and Draughts. You're wearing one right now.
Oh, right. I didn't know this was special just to this arts.
Yeah. It's they do a new design for every arts and draft. So this is specifically only for this one. It will never be made after tonight.
Oh man,
ever again.
I wish I'd have known that before I stained it.
That's why I got you a white shirt.
Yes.
You know, they had other colors, but I was like, nah.
No, he's getting a white one. I'm gonna have spaghetti sauce on it before the night's over. So, oh, we got somebody! Yay!
Hey y'all.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, we were just talking about wearing all white. Like I can't. Like I think anytime I wear anything white, spaghetti sauce just finds me. I'm not even eating spaghetti.
I do it to myself.
I don't know.
You're so brave.
I try to be brave. It's just me trying to be brave every day.
Is this y'all's first time out at Arts and Drafts?
Yes. This is my first time at this event, but I have been to the Columbia Museum of Art plenty of times before.
Oh yeah, y'all like it here?
Yeah, it is actually very interesting so far. I haven't been to an event like this in a while.
Yeah, I mean this one's really wild. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, because it doesn't feel like you're at a Columbia Museum of Art at all, or an art museum of any kind. You feel like you're at a party.
It feels like I thought it would be a bit more formal, but it's really like sort of like a homey
feel.
Like it's like a really good community thing.
This is my best friend of many, many, many years.
This is my best friend and roommate, and then this is my partner, Bruce. It's my spouse, Apu. I brought us all here together.
Yes,
because I like to have both of them together.
Nice.
It makes me feel happy.
Nice. Now, do y'all normally come out to Arts and Drafts, or is this
No, this is our first time.
This is the first time. All right, yeah, nice. What do y'all think about it?
It's great.
Yeah.
The vibes are good. The people are nice.
Well, I went last semester. Had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
I volunteered and got to do one of the printing activities that we had, and just was like, Daisy, we have to come back. We have to go.
She found the one day I don't have rehearsal.
Yeah.
And said, "Are you free? Let's go."
Well, this is maybe like my second or third. I come to the art museum often, but I had to get my girl out here. This is her first experience.
Yes. And I recently was telling her that if it's not art, I don't want it.
Right.
And then she invited me here, and I'm like, yes, this is exactly my vibe, my aesthetic. This is where I want to be, where I need to be. And then we're here on the Binder Podcast.
Yeah. See, just like that. You walked in the door, and now we've made you famous.
So unexpected. So unexpected.
This was our first show here today.
Yeah?
It was amazing.
I was going to ask you, what did you think about the experience?
It was just a good vibe. Everybody was like, you could tell that the audience is into the arts.
Yes.
They were listening to our words.
Yeah.
Their bodies were moving, like they were into it.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up thinking that spaces like these really existed very much.
Me neither,
just kind
man.
of seeing how that conglomerate comes together in a space like this, it was definitely like a moment where I think we all were just kind of looking around and be like, oh, this is a real, legitimate space for us right now. So it felt real safe and just really open.
Yeah.
Nice.
And shout out to the sound guy, Drew.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
He got us right.
Yeah, Drew.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we, think about being a band. What are we going to sound like, and how is it projecting to the people? I mean, that's a part of our art, not what it looks like.
That's right.
We don't care
That's
what
right.
it looks like.
That's right.
We want to make sure you feel what you hear.
I'm trying to feel pretty too.
We're going to look pretty. We wake up looking good.
That's right. Yeah. What are y'all planning to do for the rest of the evening?
Gosh, just walk around and see what's going on, find people to talk to. Yeah.
Awesome.
So many interesting things happening here.
Cool.
Look at some art. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how can you not, right? Cool. Do you have a favorite?
Mom definitely does. I definitely do. I have my very favorite piece of art here is the Monet. It's beautiful. What's it called? Do you remember the name of it? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's the beautiful pastel color. Yeah,
Yes.
the pink and blue and green. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Stare at that for hours.
There were a couple wild pieces.
Like the Monopoly piece.
Yeah.
The Monopoly piece. I had to get on my phone and look up the guy. But after I looked it up, I realized that there may have been a deeper meaning from just like what meets the eyes. Like, so sometimes you look at something and it's just like, like I said, what meets the eyes. But
It was definitely shocked by you at first.
Yeah.
That shocked by you makes you actually what she did have to go and do research. So
Right.
It makes you, I don't know. For me, I guess appreciate the museum a little bit more atmosphere, the culture, the music.
I would have never seen it if we didn't do the scavenger hunt. So
Yeah.
Because it was that we got there because part of the scavenger hunt, the last part of it was like lost and found. So we went from like 11 and then we had to go to like 20. So we kind of like, that way you actually had to see everything. So that was cool.
I know. And it's great. You got all this great art. In fact, I was just looking at this piece of art out there, and took a picture of it and got the Instagram feed, followed somebody. I'm like, who knows what kind of wormhole that's going to lead me down, like following some artist that I just happen to get their Instagram and follow them and go check out some more stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where you find out, like, you come here and you get into like some little wormholes. I've met friends and stuff here, like, that's ended up with, practice and jam sessions.
Right.
And who knows, you might have recorded with them, but yeah, it's just kind of fun stuff, man. When you surround yourself with people that are kind of thinking in the same way you are, it's fun.
It's turning out to be better than I thought.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's.
I have no idea what you've been talking about. I can't hear a thing you're saying.
Oh man, I've been saying all kinds of crazy stuff. I was telling them about the 20% off sale upstairs.
Hey, how's it going?
Are you from Columbia?
I'm from Augusta.
From Augusta. All right, yes. Good. Yeah. Home of James Brown.
Yes, Godfather of Soul. My dad used to work for James Brown.
Oh, yeah. Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool.
Coming from Houston, it just makes me really happy to see just such a well-done museum.
Yes.
Like, one of my favorite things that museums do kind of across the board, and I'm glad that CMA does it, is like these after-hours kind of events,
yes.
Because they're just... It's a very different feel to the museum, which I think is also a lot more inviting to people who aren't necessarily like someone who would typically go to a museum, which like I will gladly go to a museum like any day, anytime.
I used to live in the mountains up in North Carolina, and so Arts and Draughts is kind of one of the first places in Columbia where I really felt connected. And I feel like it's more similar to the vibe that I had up there. So I enjoy the art, I enjoy the people, and I just kind of like the vibe that we have here.
I moved here from Houston, and so it's just been like...
We just had somebody here just a while ago that just came, that moved here from Houston. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe nothing.
I mean, I'm from Northeast Columbia, so right down the road sort of vibe.
Same.
Yeah.
Me and Danny went to the same high school.
Which high school did y'all go to?
We went to Ridgeview.
Ridgeview. All right. Yeah. Too.
I grew up around the Beltline area, Fair Road area. I went to W.J. Kingdom High School.
Hey. There you go.
My mom
went to Raiders.
We still love them. That's legacy right there.
So you said you're originally from New York.
Yes.
Are you from Columbia? Or
I'm from Jenkinsville, country town about 30 minutes out from Columbia.
Yeah, I know where Jenkinsville is. Yeah.
Nothing to do there.
Nothing to do there.
Fish, maybe.
Maybe. How long have you been in Columbia?
I've been in Columbia for the past 4 to 5 years, something like that. I was prior military, and now I'm officially out.
Gotcha.
So I'm like back in my art world.
Nice.
I get to do what I want to do.
Nice.
So, yeah.
We've both been in all of the choirs at
USC, Choirs of Carolina.
Right.
Right now I'm busy with student teaching, so I'm not doing anything else. But you're doing that Celtic thing, right?
Yes. I'm working on a project where I'm recording a Celtic ballad, a Celtic rock ballad.
So what do you guys do besides grad studenting and hanging out?
I'm actually I'm a teacher. So that's what I do for a day job. And then what don't we do? I mean, we're amateur musicians, we're amateur poets, we're amateur writers, we're amateur runners, doing all kinds of things. I actually am getting my degree in school psychology, so I also want to be up in the schools after this is said and done.
God bless you, man.
More at like an administrative level, though.
Right.
But I really want to work with kids.
Yeah. I hear they're our future. What do y'all want to be when you grow up?
Scientist. A kindergarten teacher.
Oh, good. God bless you. We need more kindergarten teachers, need more scientists. What kind of science?
One that finds like asteroids and different planets in space.
Nice. Do y'all like art?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, do you like to draw?
Yes.
Yeah? Cool. What do you like to draw?
I usually like to draw fiction characters I make up in my head.
Those are the best ones to do. Do y'all like music?
Yes.
Do y'all like the music they've been playing?
Yeah.
Yeah? Kind of loud, but fun?
Yes.
Yeah, have y'all been dancing?
Yeah, the dancing.
No.
I'm here supporting my sister. She's the DJ, Lady Marauder.
Oh, nice. She's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
What a wonderful mix of music, too. I mean, I just heard Reading Rainbow. I think earlier, I think I heard, I think it might have been a theme song to a soap opera.
Maybe so. Yeah.
But yeah, she is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm back and Ray's breaking the microphone.
It happens.
We should just release this as just like an unedited, just everything, like the whole 2 hours or whatever.
Just you know, and we're back.
And welcome back to Binder Podcast.
You know, it was fun. We've got another one. Good.
Hey, come on in.
All right. Hold on. I gotta be invisible about this.
Drew is getting people for the podcast. They're scared, but he is making them do it. People are intimidated by him. I know I am.
All right, so what's your name?
What's that?
What's your name again?
Ray.
Ray.
Yeah.
Ray. I'm Steven.
Steven. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to introduce ourselves in just a minute again, okay?
No, it's fine.
So don't forget.
I won't.
Don't forget your name.
Great to meet you, Ray. I heard you got some accolades and awards.
I did. I picked up a couple. I don't still know what to do with them, but yeah, they said it was the highest award you can get, but I looked at it. It's really only about a foot tall. It's not that high.
Are you proud of yourself?
I'm too humble, I think, to be. I think my parents are proud. I know they're proud, because if y'all would have known what I was like when I was a kid, I mean, it's amazing I even got out of high school, and then much less go to college.
And a poet and a professor.
Yeah. So they're like, you know, that's my boy. You know, but like even like my sister still lives out there. You know, I grew up in Lexington, and so people will ask you, like, you know, what's your brother up to now? It's like, oh, I mean, he's an English professor at USC, got several books published. Like, no, your brother. Where's your brother? Oh yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you can Google me.
That's real. No, we're gonna get the info. We're gonna get that info.
What do you think about, like, how do you think about the collection of all these different art mediums coming together like this?
You mean for Arts and Draughts or in the museum itself?
Arts and Draughts, yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that is, well, if I dare I say, music to my ears. I mean, really, I think the best way to experience art is when you have multiple mediums and you're being surrounded by multiple mediums.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love music, and I love all kinds of music. So to have music going on in the background and being able to go to different sort of spots and you know, maybe you don't like this particular song or this particular band, but here comes another band and they're going to have other songs.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with visual art. I think when the first time I came to Arts and Draughts, I was honestly blown away by the experience, because I like you said, I'd never been to an art museum that did something like this.
Yeah.
And when you grow up in South Carolina, you start to kind of think maybe, especially when I was younger, I would have never thought that there would have been such a rich, vibrant scene as what I've seen in Columbia. And so much of that, I think, is punctuated right here, you know. Are y'all digging it?
Yeah. They're playing my song right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I gotta let you go so you can dance.
Yeah.
She loves to dance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, have a great time tonight, and thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Nice to meet you, Ray.
Nice to meet y'all.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you. Okay, yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you. We want that book. We need that book on the way out, for real.
Arts and Draughts is the CMA's biannual block party. With live musical performances, do-it-yourself art projects, scavenger hunts, unique perspective tours, beer from Wico Bottle and Beer Garden, and a variety of food vendors, Arts and Draughts has been a staple of programming here at the CMA for over 10 years. You can come check it out for yourself at the next one on November 10th. One of the things that I remember most when I was in the MFA program and working with poets like Kwame Dawes and Ed Madden, you know, I was very much invested in wanting to be a better poet. And I mean, of course, they were teaching me to be a better poet, but they also wanted me to understand the relationship you need to have with the community. Because without community, without gatherings of the community, how are you going to see who your audience is? How do you expand your audience? It would be a much easier thing to, you know, do Zoom, do podcasts, do radio, that kind of thing, where you're not interacting with people. You're not having conversations with people from all walks of life who have a variety of different degrees in how they interact with art, to very little to none, to, you know, they devote their entire lives to it. So you need that full spectrum to get a full understanding of, you know, who you're working with, who you're working around, because you want there to be representation of that community. Because every member of the community belongs to art, and art belongs to every member of the community. And so if you have these gatherings, you have these events where we can all come together, no matter what our background, our education, where we come from, where we live, how much money we make, any of those things, it doesn't matter. We're all here about art. And I can't think of a better thing. You've been listening to Binder, a production of the Columbia Museum of Art. Today's episode was hosted by me, Ray McManus, produced and edited by Drew Barron, with special assistance from Joel Ryan Cook. For more information about CMA exhibitions and programs, visit our website at www.columbiamuseum.org.
Hey y'all, producer Drew here, popping in for some housekeeping. First of all, we want to thank Julia, Daisy, Barbara, Jay Mills, Donna, Jean, Becca, Liz, Liv, Nori, Stephen, Kelsey, Mona, Melvin, Fraser Lee, Madeline, Eleanor, Haley, James, Bruce, Q, and Danny, Tatiana, and Corey of Lux Music Entertainment for sharing your thoughts and stories to help make today's episode. Today's episode also featured a clip from a stand-up comedy performance by Topher Riddle, recorded at Arts and Draughts in 2022. Today's introductory segment was with Phil Blair of Wico Bottle and Beer Garden. I asked him to share a little bit about what makes Wico so special. This is what he had to say.
It's turned out exactly like we wanted it to. Just a fun place, like a giant patio. We have food trucks every day. 626 Meeting Street, we're right across the river. It's a community space where people can sit down and hang out.
If listening to this got you in the mood for more Arts and Draughts, we've got you covered. In the show notes, you can find a Spotify playlist featuring 20 songs by musical acts who performed here at past Arts and Draughts events. And don't forget, the next Arts and Draughts is on November 10th, 2023. See you then.